What's going on, guys? This is Jalen here, your host for today from Blue Angels Gaming, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a new troop composition for Town Hall 10. This troop composition can be used for various town halls, but the most success that I have had has been from Town Hall 10. It's a really fun army to use. I have 3-starred all kinds of different variations of Town Hall 10 max bases. I actually got this idea from Echo Through Me, and he gave me the go ahead on creating a video, and I thought I would bring you guys some content and gameplay to show you guys how lethal this attack strategy can be. So I'll go ahead and start the video and show you guys a little bit of my strategy in using this composition and a little bit of my thinking that goes into these attacks. So on this first attack, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a little bit of the funneling. So I do go with 17 witches, 2 healers, 1 giant, and 3 archers, and a couple rages, 7 freezes, and 1 poison. So something that's really important with these attacks is to create a little bit of a funnel with a couple. I usually use 2 witches or 3 witches per side to funnel the rest of those witches inside of the base. So sometimes I do a little bit of a wall or a line pattern like I did on this base. Sometimes I spam them in just one point, which I'll show you guys in some of the upcoming attacks. It kind of depends on the base layout, but when we get to those, I'll discuss those. Really, the idea of this attack is to get as many witches into the core as you can to provide some freeze spells on those splash damage defenses to preserve your witches, which encounter the skeletons. So really, to keep your witches alive, you need to keep your skeletons alive as much as possible. So that's where the freezes come into play, more or less on the mortars and whiz towers, and also the infernos. So you can actually freeze the infernos whenever they target one of your royals, the king or queen, or your wall wreckers. So I do like to take all Valks and 3 barbarians in my clan castle. Some people use bowlers. I like to use Valkyries just because whenever you get those into the core with the wall wrecker, they can be very lethal to destroy those walls, to go through a couple compartments just with them rather than being in the wall wrecker, and they can really soak up some damage as well since they have quite a bit of high hit points. So I do like to take some Valks in the wall wrecker. Obviously, any type of wall wrecker attack, I don't like to go straight in at the town hall if it is on the outside. I like to get the maximum efficiency out of that wall wrecker that I can. So I like to go in from the opposite side of the base as the town hall, and that's going to ensure me that I'm going to get through as many wall compartments as possible. So on this attack, I'm going to go ahead and use 3 witches aside. I'm going to go ahead and place a couple healers on those 6 o'clock witches to provide some heal for them. I usually place the healers on one side of the funnel, and then I place the giant on the other side of the funnel. This just gives it those witches a little bit of a meat shield to where they don't get targeted immediately. That's one of the major ideas of this attack, is to save your witches from the get-go. You don't want a mortar or a wizard tower to target your witches right off the bat before any skeletons are placed. So I like to place them as far back as what I can, kind of like the Night Witch in the builder base. Whenever they spam those from all the way across the base, just to let those skeletons get in there and do their damage before the witches are in range of those defenses. So I do like to not place those within range of any defense if I can from the get-go. Let those skeletons get out there, let them decoy those splash damage defenses. Go ahead and place a couple free spells if you have to right off the bat, just to preserve those, because you really want to keep most of them inside of, or long enough to get inside of the base, because whenever you get into the core, you really need a bunch of skeletons for decoys and to target a bunch of those giant bombs to distract those whiz towers and mortars and things like that. So also keep in mind that you don't always have to use the free spells on the splash damage defenses. That's very important to keep in mind, because if there is a couple X-bows right next to each other, actually you can even freeze up to 4 defenses with the free spell. So say this isn't likely, but say there's 4 expos right just in a square to where you can freeze all of them. So if you can freeze that and they're really targeting your witches and taking those out pretty fastly, definitely go ahead and freeze those, because it can save you even though they're not a splash damage defense. So in this attack, you can tell that I did not create a funnel. I actually just spam those at 12 o'clock, put the wall wrecker down, and let it get inside, and all of my witches went inside, and this is just a spam attack. So like I said in the first attack, you don't always have to create a funnel. Sometimes it's better to just spam them. If you can get them inside, if it's a donut base like this, which you're not going to see a lot in competitive wars or competitive leagues, but if you do come across one, just get them inside, let them go crazy, get your heroes inside, and get those healers to protect your witches. So this is going to be an overkill on this base just because it's not a real good layout, even though it is a max Town Hall 10. These donut bases are kind of outdated with the updates, especially with the wall wrecker. Town halls aren't very good on the inside of a base anymore, but if you come across one and you don't have to funnel, just get them in as quickly as possible. You're gonna basically provide those defenses the maximum number of decoys that you can all at once, rather than targeting one at a time. It's going to be targeting one, but there's going to be 60 skeletons behind it. So this is really good to do if you can, but in bases where you can't do this, you definitely want to get a funnel down to get those inside, because you don't want them to go around in this attack, because that will really hurt you. So here it isn't a donut base, so we are going to have to create a little bit of a funnel. I'm going to go ahead and place a couple witches on both corners, 3 and 6, and then go ahead and place my other troops as quickly as possible as soon as I know that wall wrecker is going to get me inside of those walls. I'm actually going to go ahead and freeze that bomb tower, since I could get 2 splash damage defenses at once. I'm going to go ahead and I froze that single inferno to protect my siege machine, that wall wrecker, so it could go ahead and get through that next layer of walls. And then I'm going to rage my Valkyries. So Valkyries are very good at taking out some major component defenses all at once. So if you can save a rage to use on those Valkyries, it can be very beneficial, especially if you need to get through a layer or 2 more of the walls. Valkyries are your troop that you want to use for that. That's why they're used a lot in the Valkyrie and bowler attack strategies, is because bowlers or witches, troops like that, don't go as quickly through walls, but those Valkyries can not only soak up a lot of hit points, but eat through walls in just a couple seconds, especially in a heal spell. So that's why I like to take Valkyries in my clan castle. I would recommend trying out a couple different troops in your clan castle, maybe some bowlers, maybe some Valks, and just see what best fits you, because we all have a little bit of a different taste. So another thing that I would like to point out, I will see if I do it in the next attack, but is using those freeze spells for your royals, your king and your queen, or your wall wreckers. So something you might be thinking in this attack strategy is, oh, you have to save so many of your freeze spells for the end of an attack. You want to preserve those, or maybe you're thinking you can only use them on splash defenses because you don't want your witches to die. Well, you also don't want your heroes to die, especially your queen, because they are a major component of this attack. So if one of your royals would happen to run into a single inferno, go ahead and place that freeze down. And even if your hero can't take out that inferno by the time it gets unfrozen, maybe some skeletons will creep up there, get in front of your royals, and it will retarget the inferno to one of those instead of your king or queen. So it can really come in handy. You're going to see in this attack that this wall wrecker literally destroys this base. It goes through the first layer of walls, the second layer of walls. It's about to go through the third layer, and it's actually even going to make it through that fourth layer and create a pathing through this whole base. This whole base is vertical. There's all kinds of room on the horizontal directions of this base, but it literally covers from 12 to 6 o'clock. And this wall wrecker literally destroys every single wall all the way to that 12 o'clock position, or that 12 o'clock compartment, and lets those troops go all the way throughout this base with literally not having to go through a single wall, I don't believe. So I do freeze the bomb tower here to preserve my skeletons for a decoy. They do get taken out, but I go ahead and get this second bomb tower taken out with my queen, and this pretty much wraps up the base because all I have left is one whiz tower to fight away those skeletons, and I should be able to do this pretty easily, even though my witch did run into a giant bomb. So I have noticed this in a couple of my attempts at 3-starring bases with this strategy. What can be kind of disappointing is you get all the way to the end of an attack, it's looking great, you have 5 or 6 witches left with it just like 20% left to a 3-star, and they run into a giant bomb, and then maybe you have a whiz tower left that takes out all your skeletons. So that can be really disappointing, but it's just kind of one of those things. Save those, obviously save the freezes if you can, but like I said, don't be afraid to use them if you have to, and just experiment with this attack. You're going to see this isn't the best attack for every single base, but if you have this attack in your pocket of attack strategies that you're comfortable with, you can definitely benefit yourself by having this in your pocket. So definitely try it out. Let me know what you guys think. And if you do think this is a lethal attack at Town Hall 10, I really do think it's up there in the top 3 attacks, especially with the right base layout. I do obviously like the boho attacks, the boho lalo attacks, but I think this fits in, and it's really fun to use. It's not just those old attack strategies that are just kind of OP, you throw them down in this order every time. You kind of have to analyze the base, but it can be a very strong attack if you go about it in the right way. So I just froze that single inferno, and I'm going to freeze this next one as well to prevent my wall wrecker from dying. And this is really going to help me because it's going to get through that next layer of walls. It is going to take out my king, which I wish didn't happen, but with those Valks coming out of that wall wrecker, I will probably be able to take out this component of defenses pretty quickly and aid myself in getting that 3-star. So there's 3 whiz towers in that compartment. I bust the wall wrecker, and those Valkyries literally take out every single one of the whiz tower except for one, and it dang near gets the last one as well. So I am going to be able to get that last one with my archer queen, which is good. I have quite a few witches left, several skeletons, and this is going to be a pretty easy 3-star. And just goes to show you, if you can preserve those witches to be laying out those skeletons, you're going to have some fun and 3-star quite a few bases with this attack. So if you guys do have, this is my last video for this video, my last attack for this video. If you guys have any questions at all about this attack strategy, other attack strategies across any town halls, I've played this game since it came out. I'm very familiar with any component of this game. Shoot me a comment on the video, message me, join my Discord, let me know what you guys need help with. Thank you guys so much for supporting me in the way that you already have. I do need you guys' help to share around my content, so if you guys could, share it with your friends. If you guys know people that play Clash of Clans, please share it with them and get them to check out my content. So if you guys haven't already, definitely subscribe, like the video, and until next time guys, take care.